Hello, Bravo bosses. This is the Bravo Investigator Podcast. I am your host, Dana, and today we are talking about In the City, Season 1, Episode 9, which is the season finale. Watch what happens live with Kenny and Whitney, and I will also touch on Jax Taylor and his publicist, Lori Kay. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. I don't know exactly what day today is because I haven't decided when I'm putting this out. I am recording this on Wednesday afternoon, evening-ish. I may put this out Wednesday night or Thursday morning. Haven't decided, but it's a crazy day here in Toronto. Like, the weather is orange. Outside it is just orange. So basically there was like a forest fire or something, not committed by one of Jen Pedrante's sons. I promise you that, because we're here in Toronto, way too far. But it looks so ominous outside. I have not been able to take out my dog. It has been really weird. I did have to go to the office today, which is just across the street, but like people were wearing masks. It was, I don't know. They're not making it seem as much of a hazard as they probably should be. And by they, I mean, I don't know, the powers that be, but yeah, it feels very weird out there. Also wanted to let you know that I have a little bit of cotton mouth today, so my apologies. I on my in-office days, I take these sweat pills. Basically, they help me not sweat as much. And definitely on a very hazy, gross day like today, I was just like, okay, I want to stay dry. So I've taken those pills, but they make me have like intense cotton mouth real bad. So I will be drinking water throughout this episode. But today we are talking In the City, the season finale. I don't know if there's going to be one or two reunions, but I have someone joining me for the first part next week. I'm excited about that. But the episode today was okay, right? Sorry, I mean the finale was okay. Nothing crazy happened, nothing special. I think it was just sort of wrapping up a lot of the issues that were brought up during the season and then kind of bringing it to a resolution as a good reality show should. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the season. I did. There was no crazy drama, but I appreciate Lindsay for dragging things out and making things dramatic and creating and knowing how to do reality TV, right? Like the girl knows what she's doing. And Kenny, he softened on me. I ended up actually kind of enjoying him later on. So it's kind of strange how you get to know people and then you start to enjoy them when you don't think that you would, or vice versa, right? Not so sure how I feel about Whitney right now. I don't know. So good episode, but nothing crazy. And then we'll talk about Kenny and Whitney. I'll watch what happens live, which also was a good episode, but nothing crazy. I just want to address a few points from that I think are a little bit of tea, a little bit relevant. But before we get into all of that, I just want to quickly address the news that has been out for the past couple of days about Jax Taylor canoodling with his publicist, Lori Kay, in Mexico. I'm sure we've all seen the photos. They've been all over TMZ and every publication everywhere. Sorry, I'm going to take a sip of water. I actually haven't posted about this at all. I don't know if anyone has noticed that. Probably not. You're probably not sitting there thinking like, hey, why isn't the Bravo investigator talking about this, right? Well, I'm going to tell you anyways. You know, when this rumor came out about them a couple of years ago, because we did hear about this, that they had like hooked up in a bathroom in Canada, right? Like, you know, I was very close to the rumor. So I was posting about it a ton back then. And there was just something that made me feel really bad about it. Like, I don't know. I felt like I had heard her. It was weird. Like, I had this weird, like, revelation or just feeling. I don't know if it was both because we were both Canadian or both Jewish or whatever it was, or because she was a mom. I don't know, but I just ended up sending her a message and apologizing for really, really perpetuating it because I was one of the main people really trying to push that. And she accepted my apology and we became friends after that. And it was, you know, I promised her I would never talk about that rumor again. She assured me it was not true a million times. And, you know, so to this day, I still feel like I can't post about it because it was a promise that I made. I'm sort of just going to discuss my thoughts with you guys here. Like, I really haven't even organized my thoughts on this whole thing. I'm literally just speaking my inside thoughts out loud right now. Um, when I saw the rumor this time around a couple of days ago on TMZ, even with the pictures, I thought that can't be true. It must be the angle. It must be AI. It just can't be true. It just can't be true. She told me never, never in a million years. I tried to text her. I tried to get a hold of her. I couldn't get a hold of her. But I also realized I hadn't talked to her in a while either. And I just thought she was really busy because she had a lot of big clients lately, like Frankie Muniz and stuff. And I, I don't know. We touched base here and there, but when I say we were friends, I really don't mean in a parasocial way. Like we had met in person many times, we had talked on the phone many times. I really feel like we had established a genuine, at least relationship of sorts. She had helped me get into some events and stuff in Toronto. Like I I liked her and I developed a relationship with her and I trusted her. So I waited and I waited because I'm like, I can't post about this. I told her I wouldn't. And I just can't believe it until I hear it from her mouth. And then more pictures started surfacing where it's like, it's true. Like, it's true. And I've heard from a million other sources, like, it's true. And I'm just sitting here being like, what? Even with the photos and even if I didn't know her, I would still say it's so insane to me because I'll make the same statements that a lot of other people are making, right? So this isn't that original a thought, but like basically she knows where the bodies are buried. She knows everything about him. She knows every nook and cranny. She knows that he's a narcissist, just like the rest of us, but she knows like probably things that he's done that we will never know. Plus, she was friends with Britney. Plus, she was Britney's publicist, right? So it's a friendship betrayal, but it's also like to give up your entire life and possibly career for Jax Taylor when you know who he really is deep down is wild to me. So I still couldn't believe it. And that's why I haven't spoken on it yet. I haven't really talked to her. I've confirmed with her that she's okay, which is what I wanted to make sure with her. Um, but that's all I've really been able to get from her for now. I still am in shock because it's still so crazy to me. I'm still sort of in a stage of disbelief because it just feels again, especially when some of the comments that were being made by her back at the time was like, this is going to hurt my family. Please don't like say these like terrible things. And now it's just confusing because she's making these choices that are going to harm her family. So color me confused. Still gathering information, but I don't really know what else to say on it, to be honest. I feel really bad for Brittany, obviously. Like that was her friend, that was her confidant, that was someone she trusted for a decade, right? Like she's been working with them for a decade. So I don't know. The only thing I can think of is like, have we not noticed a pattern lately with some women jumping into really bad relationships and bad choices after a really long relationship? Amanda, she gets out of her bad relationship with Kyle. She jumps into a relationship with West. Jesse Draper from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives gets out of her marriage. Then she hooks up with Chase, which is Layla's, wait, was it Chase? Sorry, Miranda's ex. And Miranda was pissed about that. So again, bad choice. That's your friend's ex. There was a third one recently. Okay, not a recent one, but like Scandival, right? Like Raquel gets out of a relationship with James, 5-year engagement or 5-year relationship, whatever, they're engaged, and then goes for Tom. Bad, bad. That's a person who's in a relationship, right? So maybe there's a thing about a woman who gets out of a long, bad relationship and then makes a toxic choice right after. And I don't really know. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm not, I just need an explanation. I guess that's where I sit. But I think I just feel very differently about it because I thought I had a friendship with her and I thought this was someone I could trust, right? So I'm just very confused. So that's where I sit. That's where I sit. All right. Well, let's get into In the City and then we'll talk Watch What Happens Live. But we pick up where we left off. We're still in Connecticut. Some of the group goes shopping for dinner. They're going to make dinner. And Kenny says he's been doing these Friendsgivings for years. He's really into it. It's like his favorite holiday. It's funny because like I feel like different families really focus on different holidays more. Like we've never done Thanksgiving. And I always just thought, oh, because we were Jewish, but it's not a Jewish holiday. It is really secular. So I don't know why we didn't do it. We just never did. Danielle tries to talk to Whitney about the whole single mom card thing because she thinks like there's no way that Whitney actually made this comment. So I'm gonna like settle this out. And Whitney basically doubles down, right? She's like, yeah, I said it. She didn't say it like that, but she's like, yeah, yeah. What's Lindsay playing the single mom card? And Danielle's like, yeah, they're gonna hang on to the word single mom card. And Whitney makes it even worse by saying that Lindsay and Georgina both have nannies and not everyone can do that and that they need to check themselves. Danielle tells the camera that she is nervous for Whitney. So am I, Danielle. So am I. But she's also like, I kind of like that the anger from Lindsay is sort of placed onto somebody else right now. She's not going to be so focused on me. And yeah, I concur, Danielle. I feel like, if Lindsay can focus on being mad at somebody else and you can agree with her on this, that'll just bond your relationship even more. So that would be the route I would go for. So the group ends up going apple picking together. Amanda shows the camera that when she went upstairs the night before, so remember they had all had a dinner, it was like the first time that Owen spoke, and he made a comment like the fact that you and Kyle like keep talking about the past, it means you're done. Like you guys are done. When you get to that place, when my ex and I were at that place, we knew we were done. And then Amanda, remember, she got so upset, her whole body was shaking, and she had to go upstairs. And so she tells the camera that when she had gone upstairs the night before, she was losing it, and she thinks it was her body telling her basically like, "Hey, bitch, get out." And that's what I was thinking. Sorry, I'm gonna take a sip of water. I think I mentioned that in the last episode, that I think that that was that moment for her where her mind, for the first time, fully realized that her relationship was over and that her body had a physical reaction to that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, I think we physically saw her realizing for the very first time that her marriage was like completely over. So it's kind of wild, right? The group sits around a fire where when Lindsay goes to sit in the car because she's cold, and I only mention that because she's like not part of this scene, which is relevant because Georgina basically takes this opportunity to like bitch out Whitney, which I loved, by the way. Like it seems like Georgina is so completely multifaceted. There's so much more to her, I bet you, that I want to know about her, but we just didn't get there. And maybe we were just like focusing on other couples and stuff, right? Which is fine. She'll have her time in season two, hopefully. But yeah, I just really loved her taking charge of this conversation. It was like badass. And so she's like basically like speaking on her and Lindsay's behalf about the room situation and saying that they were playing the single mom card. Whitney tries to defend herself by saying that it would have been nice if Lindsay had given the room to Yvonne to like fix their friendship, but she feels like everyone just bows down to Lindsay. And Georgina's like, where do you get off saying that? Like, I loved that she said it that way. Where do you get off saying that? And she's like, where do you get off saying that? And then she's like, it's not like Lindsay walks around saying, I'm a single mom, so I get this. I'm a single mom, so I get that. And Kenny and Whitney are like, yeah, that's exactly what Lindsay does. That's exactly what she said. And then Georgina just goes off on Whitney and calls her disgusting because of like she just feels like it's just disrespectful to moms, it's disrespectful to women, it's disrespectful to herself, Georgina, and to Lindsay. She was very offended by it, and I think she had every right to be. Like she had every right to be. Sorry. Whitney says that her point is that Lindsay should have been a better friend to Yvonne, which she's just deflecting the conversation to like make it about something else because I thought it was about the fact that Lindsay tries to make it that her shit is more important than everybody else's because that's what she had said to Lexi. But I see what she's trying to do, right? Like, listen, she's a little baby lamb, right? She's this girl with her big Bambi eyes. Like, she doesn't want to get in a mess with Lindsay Hubbard's or Georgina, right? So she's trying to like be like, okay, I didn't mean the single mom thing. I really meant more of this. And so she's trying to get them to focus on a different, less worse piece of it, right? And it's not working, right? Because single mom card is so easy to hang on to. And so it's that piece that the girls can't let go. So Georgina ends up getting upset and she goes to leave like the fire pit to like go back to the car. And then she ends up turning around and she says that she doesn't think Kenny and Whitney as a couple like women. She's like, I think you guys hate women. And they're like, what the hell? And I have to disagree with Georgina there. I do not think that they hate women. I think Whitney is just maybe just a little uneducated when it comes to like motherhood, right? And as am I, right? Like I ain't no mother and I really don't have a lot of mom friends. Well, I used to. I used to have a lot of mom friends. And so I definitely saw a day in the life quite frequently. And so maybe that's why I am so sympathetic to the situation. And maybe she doesn't have a lot of mom friends, so she just doesn't get the day to day. Yeah, I think that's just sort of what it is, right? It doesn't mean like Whitney's a bad person or that she hates women. And I really there was really nothing about Kenny that was giving like an I hate woman vibe, right? Like, I'm not there yet. Listen, knowing me, I'll get there, right? But I'm not there yet. The fact that I'm even defending a man at all, it's pretty rare for me. So I'm not there yet. Back at the house, the topic comes up again though with Lindsay, because remember I said before Lindsay was in the car, so she wasn't part of that conversation. And Whitney says it had nothing to do with her being a single mom so much, but because like she respects single moms, but it's more just about like Lindsay taking over things. And Lindsay starts sort of like conflating what she said with like why she was taking the room. So she's like, I took the room because Georgina and I are two moms who are really busy and are really tired. Um, but I wasn't using the single mom card. And so it just becomes like a war of words because you're essentially saying the same thing, right? Like Lindsay says that she can play the mom card, but then she takes issue with them calling it a card. But then Whitney and Kenny are like, you just called it a card, right? So again, we're playing with words. It doesn't matter. Like it's just getting so conflated and confusing. Lindsay just feels like there's a lot of judgment coming from Whitney. And Georgina expresses that Whitney just comes off as really disrespectful to moms. Like that's what the issue is. So Whitney gets that and she ends up apologizing. And so we get the resolution that we need here. That being said, I'm fairly certain this is going to come up at the reunion because I think we saw it in the preview and I think we've seen it in some threads here and there from Lindsay or whoever. Again, I don't think Whitney's a bad person. I think she shouldn't have used that term. I think saying the single mom card just wasn't cool. I just think she just needs to educate herself about that and maybe have a little bit more compassion. But does Lindsay try to take over things? Yeah, I don't know, right? Like it's a difficult situation because, Lindsay keeps making the point that like when she was in the other car, it was Amanda who suggested that Georgina and Lindsay have the room, right? Plus they were already in the room. That was the weird thing. I think Lindsay would have thought very differently about it if we were all outside of the room. But think about the fact that Lindsay and Georgina are already in the room. They have half of their stuff unpacked. And so it's just sort of like, all right, well, like I think I might have said the same thing because I would have been like, well, I'm already in here and I want it for this reason, right? Like that's what I sort of might have said. Anyways, this is just such a stupid argument. This is like trivial reality TV shit, but honestly, without this beef, I don't know that we would have had a lot for the last few episodes, to be honest. So then this ends up turning into a beef between Kenny and Gavin because Gavin kept jumping into the conversation when he didn't need to and didn't have any of the information. So Gavin's jumping in, being like, Lindsay, you did nothing wrong here. You're absolutely right. And it's like, you don't even have the context, right? Like, that's really nice of you. But it's like, it sort of made Kenny feel like, hey, hello, over here, I'm your best friend. And then he sort of just kept instigating the conversation as well, because at this point in time, we've all put it to bed. Whitney has apologized, we're done, right? Like we're all good. But then Gavin keeps saying, like, but Kenny, didn't you keep saying, like, pick a room, pick a room? And so he's like re-bringing up the conversation. And so Kenny's like, what the hell, man? Like, for a couple of reasons, you're just making this difficult. So Kenny and Gavin end up going outside to talk out their issues because we've been waiting for them to do this all season. This has been really important because Kenny has noticed all season that Gavin has really just been like taking all of these little digs and jabs at his relationship, right? Like when he called Whitney boring or saying that, like, he doesn't like dogs when Whitney was bringing her dog across the country to come live at Kenny's place. Gavin actually feels shocked that Kenny would feel that he was coming from like a malicious place and doing that. And he's really thinks that most of these examples that Kenny is giving were jokes. Like, I mean, don't call his girlfriend boring. Sorry, I drank some water. I feel like, you know what? I don't know Gavin at all, right? We've really got nothing from his storyline except for like he's like a sidekick, but and he owns all these bars, but we haven't really gotten anything about him because on its face value, I would say, oh, this is his first year on reality TV and he's just trying to do his quote unquote job and create drama and he's just doing it in a like cringe way. It's working, right? Is he creating drama? Absolutely. Is it at the expense of his friend? Yeah, a little bit. I don't know if he's jealous of Kenny's relationship with Whitney because I don't know Gavin, right? Like, and I think it's interesting that Kenny, sorry, is it Kenny? Yeah. How Kenny has said in the past, he said this a couple episodes back, that he was in an 8-year relationship and it didn't work out, and he was in an 11-year relationship and it didn't work out. So it's not like Gavin hasn't seen Kenny in relationships. But there is something that I remember that Kyle said in a previous episode, maybe in like the first episode, where he said something like, maybe Gavin isn't used to seeing Kenny in a happy relationship. So maybe Gavin has always been there for Kenny in a support capacity because he's been in these like long-term bad relationships where he's maybe not spending a lot of time with his person and he's spending all of his time with Gavin. Maybe that's the reason some of those relationships didn't work out. Who knows? Like I just we are missing so much information about these guys. But yeah, I actually really like that Gavin just like completely owned it. He apologized. He's like, Kenny starts to get like kind of teary-eyed and he's like, I want to feel like you support me. I want to feel like we're best friends. I want to feel like I can come to you. And Gavin's like, yes, absolutely. I want to be that for you. And I'm so sorry that I ever made you feel like I was doing anything against you. So, I think they're all good. We've seen them continue to be friends. Even if they didn't have this conversation, I'm sure they would have been fine. But I really appreciate like the bros like having a real conversation, right? Like I applaud these two for doing reality TV right. Like, you know, I don't know. I think they did pretty good for their first season. Like I gotta give them a little bravo. Little bravo. All right. They agreed to be ride or die forever. That's amazing. So the rest of the group, or the whole group, they end up sitting down for Thanksgiving dinner. Danielle ends up bringing up her relationship with Lindsay, sort of doing like a temperature check. And she's just like, I thought that we were moving forward. Then you're doing this Googling of Owen. Where are we at? And Lindsay's like, I really feel like I was doing that to be supportive. I do feel like we're moving forward. And then she makes like this really nice comment about how like she spent so much time with Owen the night before and almost like the first time. It was like the first time she had spent like a significant amount of time with him. And she was like, you were making me laugh. We were having such a good time. And I just really like how he makes you feel. And I really feel like he makes you feel safe. And I feel like that's so important for Danielle and her relationship. And this really just warmed my heart. Like, again, Lindsay Hubbard knowing how to do her job. It's almost like she knew that this was the finale and she wanted to make sure everything was wrapped up in a nice little bow before we head to the reunion, right? But still, like, I just thought that that was really nice. I don't know if it was genuine or not because I don't know where she and Danielle stand today. Yeah, who really knows? I mean, I'm not quite sure. But I mean, she took some pictures with Danielle and her baby bump, but I don't know if it was like a press thing because they were fighting about the over the pants HJ situation with Carl that came up earlier in the season. They were fighting about that online. So yeah, I don't know where they stand today. But Lindsay apologizes and they're in a great place at that point. So after dinner, Kyle ends up DJing and everyone just dances the night away, except for Amanda who leaves and and went to bed because she can never hang. So in the morning, everybody's getting ready to leave, and Amanda will not ride home with Kyle. Her excuse is that she has to go to her place, but we're all going the same way. Like, come on. Ugh. Again, like she could have put in that few hours to spend some time with him and just have that one-on-one time to have a conversation. Nobody's drinking, nobody's doing drugs, right? Neither of them can blame each other for not being present. They literally could have that time in the car to be present. But again, she did sort of feel like the day before she had come to that realization that things were over, right? So maybe she just felt like there was no point. Kyle tells the camera that he really knows it's over in this moment, and he might have provoked it. I think it was interesting that he said this. He feels like he might have provoked it, but it was Amanda that took the wheels and she made the first move, and he doesn't know if he would have. So it's interesting. Like, I wonder how long their relationship truly lasted beyond what either of them wanted and how long it just lasted for the sake of neither of them wanting to pull the trigger, right? Like, it feels it feels like both of them were afraid to pull the trigger. But yeah, I just wondered for how long. It's crazy, right? Or how much longer it would have gone on if she hadn't have done it. Because like he said, he may not have done it. I don't think he would have done it for another couple of years, honestly. But then it's crazy to also know now in retrospect that he said it in the sit down with Wes where he says, honestly, we haven't been in love in years. So I also wonder about that because they've only been married for 4 years. So when you say you haven't been in love in years, do you mean like three, four? The whole time you were married? Huh. You know? This marriage. I mean, we know it's for the best that they are not together. But it's still just sad. And then we go back to the pickup scene that we actually saw in the very first episode of In the City. So we saw the scene back on April 9th, 2026, where Amanda comes over to Kyle's place. And they're talking on the couch. And so we pick back up where Amanda and Kyle are talking on the couch. And he says, like, you point blank lied to me about West. You left me for a guy that rages 3 times a week. And Amanda's like, no, I did not leave you for someone. But I don't know if anyone picked up on this because I haven't seen it online anywhere. But she says, I didn't leave you for him. But then she says, I was scared. What does that mean? In terms of what? Like, you were scared and that's why you lied to Kyle? You were scared that's why you went for Wes because you were scared of being alone? Like, what do you mean you were scared? I don't know. Just curious. They talk about their joint statement and how they still sort of really appreciate that they did it together. Kyle admits he was no saint. Amanda says it wasn't one thing that led to their demise, but Kyle's like, I know, I just sort of want to put out there that there's parts that was my fault. And I appreciate him doing that, right? Because yes, you do get Amanda saying this one time, it doesn't just take one thing. You never really get her admitting to any fault. You never hear her say, I didn't try. You actually hear her say the opposite. You hear her constantly say, I tried till the bitter end. And yes, they were married till the bitter end, but I wouldn't say that she tried till the bitter end. I wouldn't say that he did either, right? But like, you never hear her admit to not doing that at least, and you never hear her admit to not really trying in this relationship either, or taking any fault in this relationship, quite frankly. And that's the one thing you kind of have to give Kyle. Like he does take that accountability. It's interesting to hear also when he talks about like, he sort of implies that some of the times he would be out late or doing shit would be because he was doing it in spite or because he was spiraling or things like that. So it's just so interesting that he says that because if that's true, like I wonder how often it was truly based on just trying to get back at her because that just means like there was just so much hate there. But anyways, it's for the best. And then we see the line, or we hear them say, sorry, the line that we've seen in the preview where Amanda says, well, maybe you, me, Wes, and Sally can all get dinner together. And it's just like palm to the head, right? Like, can you imagine? But remember that Sally has had sex with West and Kyle, and Amanda has had sex with West and Kyle. So the only two there who have not had sex are Amanda and Sally and West and Kyle. So then we jump ahead in the episode to June 2026. So basically, we get an update on everyone. I kind of liked this. This was almost like, and we had our confessionals, which were probably filmed at the beginning of the year. And then we probably had to do some more mid-year because remember there was that episode where I think they showed the date. I think they said it was April, where they were doing a confessional with Amanda and she was talking and they were like, okay, point blank, just let's talk real because we know you're with Wes now. Let's talk about this moment back in October with this being April now. But yeah, it looks like they're filming these updated confessionals in June. It's July now, so I appreciate such an updated confessional. But we find out that Whitney and Kenny are good. They may have got accident married in Peru, but he's like, I'm gonna marry that girl. He really came around to me. Like, I like him. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Georgina says that she's ready to date. Now, this is interesting. She said that she was living in a fantasy world where she thought that she and her ex would basically work it out. And she kind of wanted that to happen because she cannot fathom the idea of only having her kids 50% of the time, which I cannot even imagine. And that just sounds so completely awful too. But it just shows that we really didn't know a lot about Georgina. I really wanted to get more details on what happened between her and her ex. She alludes to something crazy happening, but like, details, girl, right? Let's get it in season 2. Yvonne and Nick are pregnant and expecting a boy. Lexi and Andrea are expecting a girl. And then we get a scene of Owen and Danielle telling Danielle's mom that she's pregnant, but we know in real life that she has given birth to her son, Aiden, who is in the NICU, but doing quite well. So that is the end. Like I said, pretty average, pretty good episode, but it did in many respects it made me smile, and I think that's a good thing, right? Like not everything has to be like crazy dramatic. We just feel like it should be because this follows in the city and in the city, or sorry, this follows Summer House, and we're just so used to so much chaos and drama when it comes to Summer House. But yeah, this was a nice light snack. All right. On to Watch What Happens Live. Just a few quick points on this. So Kenny says that there was actually rumblings about West and Amanda vibing during the filming of In the City. So this is interesting. I wonder who said it. There was something that Kyle said in the first episode, which was the pickup scene that was filmed on April 9th. So we saw the back half of that pickup scene in this episode, but the first half of that was in the first episode of this season. He says something like, you promised me that throughout the fall, throughout Thanksgiving specifically, he uses the word Thanksgiving, you didn't cheat on me. And she's like, no, I would never, blah, blah, blah. So there's something about Thanksgiving, which is interesting because they clearly filmed In the City around that time. And Kenny is talking about there being rumblings around that time. So really interesting that other people were noticing that they were vibing. And if you think back to the Scandival days, people were saying those kinds of things too about Raquel and Sandoval. Whitney was also on Watch What Happens Live. She was actually first chair. She said that she misspoke when she used the term single mom card and she takes it back. You know what? I'll let her have it, right? You didn't misspoke, but you know what? You learned your lesson. I'm not going to penalize you for this forever. None of us should. It's not the end of the world. She apologized. She's not going to do it again. That's all we can do because cancel culture is dead, I feel like. A friend of mine told me today, cancel culture is so 2023. And I'll take that. Whitney says that she finds Georgina and Lindsay the most annoying of her castmates. Now, this was like one of those games or questions on Watch What Happens Live, so take it for what you will. She did have to answer it, though. And then apparently Kyle and Sally went to hang out with Kenny and Whitney and like met up with them in the Hamptons a couple weeks back. But they apparently have not met Ava Dash, but they've met Sally. So I'm very curious what's going on there. Like, how does he have time to date so many women? Like, he's running a business, right? A full-time business that he works in, like Monday to Friday, right? Then he's DJing God knows how many times a week, going out, maintaining friendships, brand deals, and then dating and being on 2 shows and then dating a million people. Because I feel like he's the kissing bandit. He's seen kissing like 10 people a week. I'm like, who has the time, right? Like, who has the time? Kyle Cook, right? I appreciate a man who can make time in his schedule for everything that he has, right? Like, I'm constantly asked in job interviews about like my ability to multitask, right? Can you imagine Kyle giving his examples, right? Like on a PowerPoint even, right? You can totally explain like how many things he could fit into like a 10-hour day. Anyway, that's the end of the episode, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I will be back with another episode this week. I haven't decided what yet. There's The Ultimatum that's out, which I'm really excited about. I really love that show. It's an offset of Love is Blind. There's Married at First Sight. Didn't love the first episode, but I wasn't really paying attention. But I think there's been a couple more episodes out now. I haven't decided on that. Let me know if you're interested in either of those, or let me know if you're interested in anything. I'll pick something up this week if you're interested in me doing something in particular. But until then, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Bravo Investigator. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch episodes like this one today. You can join the Facebook group. And I love you, BBs. I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Bravo Investigator podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Bravo Investigator. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and join the Facebook page. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a 5-star review.